Now, through the magic of computing, I have finished typing in this code. So note that we prompt the user for the floor, and then typing up the code exactly as it is from the slides, if not in .has next, and then the comment says, now we know that the user entered an integer. And this gives me a little bit of pause because has next int says whether or not the user has typed in an integer before you read it. Well, the problem is that the not, because has would mean that it's an int. So if you say not an int, then we know that the user has entered an integer. Let's try to run this and see what happens, because I think there might be an error in the code on the slides. So we click on the green triangle for Run Project. Now keep in mind I've already typed in the rest of the code. And I'm going to type for my floor, I'm going to go to the 8th floor. And it says error, not an integer. What on earth could be wrong? It's this not right here. If you get rid of that not that is in the code in the slides, you'll see that it will work pretty well. So let's try it again. This time I'm going to enter 8, and it says the elevator will travel to the actual floor 8. Oh, look at that. I need to put a space after floor and before the letters. So that's right down here. There we go. And let's walk through the rest of the code a little bit. Now that we've fixed that logic error, we know that the users entered an integer. Int floor equals in.nextInt. If floor equals 13, error, there is no 13th floor. Else, floor less than or equal to 0, or floor greater than 20. This is implementing that range checking that we talked about. And then we say error, the floor must be between 1 and 20. Else, actual floor equals floor. If floor is greater than 13, actual floor minus minus. So I'm subtracting 1 from the actual floor if it's over 13, because we know that there is, according to our algorithm, there is no 13th floor. So the actual floor is 1 less than the floor number if we're over 13. Else, error, not an integer. Let's run it again. Now, what kind of input would be good for us to use for testing? I tried an integer that I knew would be a valid floor, which was 8. Now we should try 13, and then we should try a floor of 0 or less than 0, and a floor of greater than 20. So let's try this, and I'm going to enter a floor of 13. Error, there is no 13th floor. Good, that's what we expect. I'm going to run it again, and I'm going to enter -4, and it will say error, the floor must be between 1 and 20. Good, that's what I expect. Then I'm going to run it again, and I enter 20, and it says the elevator will travel to the actual floor, which is 19. Was that what I wanted? Yes, because it says floor greater than 20, not greater than or equal to 20. So I'm going to run it again, and this time I'm going to type 21, and it says error, the floor must be between 1 and 20. And then I'm going to try it one more time with a floor over 13 so I can see what happens there. And I'll type 14 and say the elevator will travel to the actual floor 13. So we can see that with all of this testing, we tried every single, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't get the not and integer there, so let's try again. And let's say I entered football, error, not an integer. So I've tried every path of code has been run with this test data. Why don't you give it a try yourself and see how your code works?